Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way next, Off 90. We hear about the unfortunate state of segregation in Minnesota schools. We learn another recipe to try out this summer. We catch a performance from the Zillionaires. These stories and more are coming up on your next stop, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this trip off 90. First, Spark is an interactive learning experience for children. Their mission is to enrich the lives of young learners in the Rochester area by creating shared interactive experiences that engage people of all ages in the joy of play, the power of learning, and a sense of community.
Spark is an interactive learning experience for children and families in the Rochester community and surrounding areas. And our mission here is to provide opportunities for families and children to discover together the joy of play and the power of learning, and to really create a sense of community for all those who come and visit and experience with us on a daily basis.
Spark has worked very closely with the Diversity Council here in the area, keeping inclusivity and diversity in mind when building those exhibits. And that exhibit here is called Our World Bazaar. And so we're really focusing on language, food, clothing, things that would really interact children and give children a sense of community and how we are really all the same.
One of the most popular areas in any type of family exploration center, such as we are, is the opportunity to do some role playing or dramatic play. So that's the backdrop of Our World Bazaar. At the beginning of the entrance of the exhibit, we have a very large map of the world that shows Rochester, how it's all being fed by so many different cultures and countries that are represented here in Rochester to really celebrate what that means for us.
We have several other exhibits in Spark, and all of these exhibits are made to have families and children interact with each other. You have children from all backgrounds, all diversities, being inclusive here in this space with nothing else to worry about except hands-on learning and play and education and the joy on their faces when one person interacts with another person and they create food or they climb the big climber together or they're doing the program in our backspace. I think that's the most amazing thing to see.
We have just a lovely family that we've all fallen in love with. And they actually found us not long after we first opened our doors here this summer. And they were just thrilled when they found out that we could offer them a scholarship membership to be able to come and enjoy Spark on as frequent basis as they wanted. Well, it comes to find out they're here with us almost daily. We've got to know the little girls and know the family. And it's every day the little girls find something new that really has captured their attention of the moment and enjoy it. We also are always excited to work with many community partners who represent a lot of the different communities inside Rochester, which are so rich, to come in and do sharing with us in terms of the types of music and art and stories that make up their rich heritages as well too.
This year we worked with Riverside Elementary School to create something in Our World Bazaar in the exhibit called Shadow Boxes. And these shadow boxes were made by these students at Riverside to show how one family's home and another family's home may be totally different, but there's things in that family that happen the same. Eating together, playing together, reading together. And it really shows a sense of diversity through each of the shadow boxes, but a sense of community and inclusivity. It's really, really cool to see.
We want to be an open and welcoming environment for those who live in the Rochester area and community, as well as those who may be here visiting for the community as well too.
Minnesota is known for progressive politics and a forward-thinking approach to regional planning, but this hasn't stopped the growth of the nation's widest racial disparities and the worst segregation in predominantly white areas. Professor Myra Northfield and attorney Dan Schulman discuss the state of segregation in Minnesota schools.
Well, Brown versus Board of Education, most people say, is the most important and most respected Supreme Court decision of all time. That's what most people will say. The idea that racially separate, racially segregated is inherently unequal. That's what the court says. And it's a decision that's very powerful and very noble, but it's almost completely ignored in the United States, and particularly in Minnesota. Minnesota, in the early 1990s, there wasn't a single racially segregated school in the Twin Cities metropolitan area, and really not a real racial segregated school in the whole state. And then in the late 1990s, we really gutted all of our school integration laws and our fair housing laws, and we rapidly became a very segregated place. So we went from 0 segregated schools in the early 90s, which was the best in the country, really. Last year, there's about 150 schools in the metro area that are more than 90% non-white and poor.
The Department of Education was considering the enactment of a new rule which would enable desegregation to occur and the suburb with participation by the suburbs. What happened was politics got in the way, and the Attorney General's office, at the behest of the governor, at that time Arnie Carlson, sent a lawyer to the Department of Education who took control over the rewriting of the desegregation rule, the creation of a new rule, and changed the rule so that in order for a finding of segregation, there would have to be a finding of intent.
And that had a dramatic effect. You could see segregation explode as soon as that policy was adopted. Minneapolis, when I was a kid, under court-ordered integration was an integrated system. Now Minneapolis has a white system in the southwest part of the city. It's got a Latino system in the south part of the city and a black system in the north part of the city. And it's 3 really different school districts. And the white system in the southwest part of the city has kids that go to the best colleges in the whole United States. The black system in North Minneapolis, a young man is more likely to be in jail than in post-secondary education when he finishes. And the Latino system is not much better. In 2012, a majority of the school children in the United States were no longer white students. So in 2012, less than 50% of the students in the United States were white. And in about 2039, the same thing will be true of the population. Whites will be the biggest minority group. And experience really shows that when people share institutions like schools and share neighborhoods, they get along. And when racial segregation limits that ability to share common institutions, usually the people that are the most disadvantaged never really get to participate in the education and economic system of the country.
All you have to do is look at the statistics. We are more segregated in schools, especially in urban centers, than we have ever been before. The result is it's unrest, and it's poverty, and it's denial of opportunity, and it's a dissatisfaction with democracy, cause of great polarization, even hostility in our country today. We are as divided as we've ever been, and we need to be united into one country. We are one people.
The most powerful predictor of whether you're going to be a success in the United States is the education and income of your parents. The second most powerful predictor of your success is your peer group and their strength. And it's much more powerful than any particular educational institution. It's much more powerful than any method of instruction. People are social beings. We rarely get our first job or our most important opportunity based solely on our grades or our test scores. If you grow up in a neighborhood where nobody's been to college and no one knows anyone that's been to college, where most of the young men have been in jail or in a constant process of going in and out of jail, where nobody has a nice house, where no one really has the ability to take care of anyone else, it's very hard to find that peace in society. If you've never known anybody that's gone to college and your parents haven't gone to college, it's very hard for you to figure out how to do that. And poor kids that go to integrated schools, they never catch up really. They never get all the benefits that middle class kids do, but they graduate with at least twice the frequency of kids that go to really poor schools. And they go to post-secondary with at least twice the frequency of very poor schools. Now that's not perfect and it's not a utopia, but it makes an enormous difference.
I have been a trial lawyer now for over 50 years. I left the big firm I had been with to associate with a smaller law firm to continue litigating a school desegregation case, which I had brought against the state of Minnesota over segregation in the Minneapolis and St. Paul public schools. The name of the case is Alejandro Cruz Guzman versus state of Minnesota. The lawsuit alleges the state of Minnesota has permitted the Minneapolis and St. Paul public schools to become segregated by race and by socioeconomic status, in other words, poverty. In 2018, we got a decision from the Minnesota Supreme Court that the segregation in the Minneapolis and St. Paul public schools, we could prove that it violated three provisions of the Minnesota Constitution. The first is the Education Clause, which says that the legislature shall establish a general and uniform system of public schools, and that it will provide funding for those schools by taxation or otherwise, so that the schools are thorough and efficient. The Minnesota Supreme Court said in 2018, it is self-evident that a segregated system of public schools is not general, uniform, thorough, or efficient.
They were trying to settle that case. There was a bill in the legislature at the end of the session, but it didn't go anywhere. So that case has gone back to trial to prove up the state's, whether the state violated the Constitution and have a court order the legislature to do something. So I think that case will result in some improvement. Maybe it'll be a little improvement, maybe it could be a lot, we'll see.
It starts with children. Children are our future. And we can't afford, with all the threats we're facing today, including climate, to blight those young lives and deprive them of the opportunity to have an education that will enable them to work cooperatively and collaboratively to solve the problems that we are facing and that we know will come and get worse if we don't do it.
The Northfield Arts Guild is a place for everyone, creators and audiences alike. Every month, the Guild Theater hosts a live performance of a local musician. One of these performers, the Zillionaires, performed an original song, Time Will Tell, and the Guild was kind enough to share their performance with us today. Enjoy.
Picture from the past, photograph, days gone by, going fast. We were standing in the light, doing all right. Can we make it through another night? Time will tell.
Strap in for a delicious recipe from Rochester chef Shari Mukherjee.
Hi, my name is Shari Mukherjee, and today I am going to teach you how to make an Italian soda. We're going to start with a tumbler full of ice. And now, just for fun, we're going to add some strawberries to this. I'm just slicing those up and we're just going to drop those in. Next, I am going to use some of the store-bought strawberry syrup. We're just going to use a little shot glass. If you don't have a shot glass, a measuring spoon does great too. For something this size, we're going to go ahead and use 1 tablespoon of this syrup. Into the tumbler that goes, our syrup is in. Next, we're just going to take a can of sparkling soda. It doesn't matter, whatever flavor you like, whatever you have in the fridge is great. In goes the sparkling water. If you want to take it up a notch, we can go ahead and add about a tablespoon, a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of heavy cream. But that just goes straight in as well. Give it a little stir. And this is a beautiful, delicious, cold drink to help you get by on these hot days that really takes little to no effort. And I'm not kidding, it's so good. Cheers.
Riverside Central Elementary School, located in Rochester, has a unique program for education. They strive to make immigrant students and their families feel at home. The school offers emotional and social support to immigrant families.
Riverside, it's considered it's the biggest center for the newcomers, not only in Rochester or in Minnesota, maybe it's among all over the states. They have got a large population of immigrants. They have got a new unique program for learning, for educate the student, not only the school writing, reading. They have got a way to let the student get in the community. The family night, get the family and the student all together, so all the families, they could not feel lonely in the country. They just feel, yes, there is other family, there is other people, they have got the same situation as them.
When you come as a refugee or as an immigrant, there's many barriers. There's the language barrier, there's the culture barrier, and it's very difficult to cross these barriers. What I love about Riverside is that as soon as you walk in, I don't have to speak English to see that it's a diverse community. It's a community that values people from a different background. I keep saying that I wish when I came to the United States, my first school was Riverside.
I can't immigrant myself. Coming when I was 5 years old, I wish I had all that resource that Riverside has to make me feel special, to make me feel I belong here.
We come from like many different countries, but in the end of the day, we're very connected into one person, and I believe that that is what the school brings.
You found a cool rock, buddy.
As you can see behind me, as soon as you come to Riverside, you will see this picture, this amazing picture. This is a welcoming community, whoever you are and whatever your background is. That's how I feel when I'm in Riverside. Parents are comfortable, children are comfortable to go here. The teachers are amazing, and the friendship, the mentorship, that's what we need for our children, to have a community where people can help each other no matter what is their background.
To me, it means anyone can be represented at the school.
Seeing the image really reflects what the school is. It wasn't just an artist that came in and decided to just paint it however the painter wanted. It was created by the hands of the kids and the community itself.
You know, like a dark just in front of you, you know, when you are leaving home and coming. How's the people? How's the weather? How's the food? How's the culture? How's the way they are going to treat me? That's all thinking goes all over your head when you are in the plane for 17 or 18 hours. They give them a really support, emotionally, social support, with love, with respect to who they are, who they're coming from. They respect them for their culture. They are really loving, I could tell you. Yeah. This is how I felt, because when I arrived as a newcomer, but not a student. I was a staff. And there isn't much different. You left everything behind you. You left your people, your country, your everything, and you're just taking a challenge coming to the new society.
Sometimes back home, it's very challenging there are restrictions on what you can do or what you cannot do. But here, the sky's the limit.
We've reached the end of this tour off 90. Thanks for riding along. See you next time. But before we go, we share this heartwarming story of a big cat and a mutt from the Blue Earth County Historical Society.
While it may seem impossible for a little dog and a big cat to be best friends, at Sibley Park Zoo that's exactly what happened in the early 1930s. For 10 years, Jeff the lion and Mutt the dog were inseparable. Jeff was born to zoo lions Brutus and Mary in 1932. However, Mary turned out to be a less than ideal mother, pushing Jeff away by the time he was 2. Zookeepers removed the lion to his own cage, but they were worried he would get lonely. Someone suggested giving him a playmate, and someone else suggested a puppy named Mutt. Word spread about the unusual friendship, bringing in spectators from across the country and even catching the attention of Robert Ripley, who featured the pair of pals on his newspaper comic Believe It or Not. The two animals remained inseparable until Jeff's death in late March 1942. Mutt was inconsolable. Zoo workers tried to introduce a new lion cub friend, but it wasn't the same. For more information about historical topics, visit our website at blueearthcountyhistory.com.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.